to start our program. We want to really be efficient with your time this early morning, this very cold early morning. I think it was 2 degrees here in Atlanta when we all woke up. So hopefully it will warm up today. We're going to get that warming trend started right here. I appreciate the invitation and the opportunity to be a part of this breakfast meeting today. We're going to learn a lot about the progress and the accomplishments and the future of MARTA. We're going to hear from a dynamic keynote speaker today, and all of the MARTA leaders who have this transit authority on the rise. We will hear from them as well. But before we get started, some very important business. Who here is wearing red and black? Red and black. Yes, given that the national championship at Mercedes-Benz Stadium is happening on Monday. Go Dogs! Yes, go Dogs! I had to say that since I'm in front of a microphone. Take advantage of the platform this morning. Well, as I said, today you will hear from transit leaders from around the state, but transit leaders also from across the country. Nearly 5 decades in the making, the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority, the 8th largest in the country, run by more than 5,000 employees, is an economic engine that fuels the Atlanta region. It is an honor to join MARTA's board chairman, Robbie Ashe, and interim general manager, Elizabeth O'Neill, as they deliver updates and share its many milestones with you, our partners and shareholders. The MARTA team is devoted to connecting people, to creating community, and advancing prosperity throughout the region. They do so by delivering routing excellence on a daily basis. Your safety, your satisfaction, and MARTA's service reliability are the hallmarks of that work. And under the leadership of Interim GM and CEO Liz O'Neill and MARTA Board Chair Robbie Ashe, that mission continues. But before I introduce the chairman, at this moment I'd like to ask Michael Paris, the CEO for the Council for Quality Growth, to bring our official opening remarks. Let's bring him on board with a hearty round of applause. Michael Paris.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you all here on this early, cold morning. Brenda, thank you for your introduction, and we appreciate so much you being with us today and helping us with this. As Brenda said, I'm Michael Paris. I'm President and CEO of the Council for Quality Growth, and I would like to welcome you to the 2018 State of MARTA address. We have a record crowd. This is the biggest crowd we've ever had, so give yourselves a round of applause. And want to thank MARTA for allowing the Council to help host this spectacular event. And on behalf of the Council and our 2018 Chairman Steve Leibowitz of Denton's, we welcome you all. And as Brenda said, go Dogs, all right? You'll see that red and black, okay? The Council for Quality Growth is a 32-year-old regional trade association with a mission of promoting balanced and responsible growth. We have many, many members here in the audience today, and if you want more information on the Council, we have a table out front and hope you visit that table. Our strength lies with our relationships, with our ability to develop a relationship with strong partners around the region, including MARTA. Transportation, transit, and infrastructure funding and expansion continue to be central to our conversation of how we grow in the Atlanta region. And after successful referendums to expand transit, first in Clayton County, and then the half-cent approval with over 71% of the vote in the city of Atlanta, both supported by the Council for Quality Growth, the Council continues to support MARTA as discussions and potential plans continue around the metro region. It is the Council's firm belief, demonstrated by our work at the state capitol and local governments, that a mix of transportation and transit options will continue to play a pivotal role in the strong economic growth of the nation's, of the state and the region's economy. So folks, we are in an unprecedented period. The Dow just hit 25,000, an unprecedented period of economic growth and job creation in this city and this state, and I urge every one of you in this room to take this moment, to seize this moment, this opportunity today in 2018 to support the expansion of transit and mobility options in our region, and it's very critical to our future. So let's all get to work this year and make that happen. So now, as always, we're here today because of the great sponsors who have supported this event, and I'd like to thank each and every one of them by taking a minute to recognize them. So please take a look at the slides on the screens. Our title sponsors are CRCC and MATC. Our champion sponsors are AECOM, the Aerotropolis Atlanta CIDs, the Atlanta Regional Commission, CH2M, Comcast, Cubic, Kimberly Horn, North American Properties, and WPS. And our advocate sponsors today are Archer Western Construction, Atkins, Columbia Ventures, the Development Authority of Fulton County, Gillig, Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, HNTB, LTK Engineering, and Kaiser Permanente. And our supporting sponsors today are CERM, the Cleveland Electric Company, Delta Dental Insurance Company, Gas South, the Grice Group, IBEW Local Union 613, Pursley, Fries, and Tormagrissom, the Seven Oaks Company, the South Fulton CID, T.Y. Lynn International, and VHB. Thank you to all these sponsors. Let's give them a round of applause. And again, MARTA, we appreciate the opportunity to be with you today, to be a part of this event, and for all your hard work, and for every one of the staff that has worked hard on this event. And we look forward to hearing from our MARTA leaders in just a few minutes. So thank you again. Brenda?
Michael, thank you. As we move through our program this morning, Robbie Ashe was appointed to the MARTA board in 2010 by former Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed. As board chairman, partnering with Mayor Reed and MARTA's leadership, Robbie was a key proponent of the Atlanta half-penny sales tax referendum that received an overwhelming 72% approval at the ballot box and led the negotiations for the system's expansion into Clayton County. Now, in his 5th year as chairman of MARTA's board of directors, Robbie is a partner with the law firm of Bondurant, Mixon, and Elmore, LLP, where his practice focuses on government and governmental authorities throughout the state of Georgia, particularly Metro Atlanta. He is no stranger to public service. In fact, you could say it's in his blood. Robbie's mother, Kathy Ashe, served as a state representative in the Georgia General Assembly for almost 21 years. So it is with great pleasure and honor that I introduce our MARTA board chair, Robbie Ashe, who will open the 2018 State of MARTA. Mr. Chairman.
Good morning. On behalf of my fellow board members, welcome to the 5th annual State of MARTA Breakfast. You have braved the cold to be here this morning because of your commitment to public service and to public transit. The Latin phrase for that is sic vos, non vobis. Thus we labor, but not for ourselves. Thank you for your support of our system and for being here today. And thank you, Brenda, for emceeing today. I want to start by extending a warm welcome and congratulations to Atlanta's new mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms. A devoted transit advocate, a former judge, an alum of the nation's finest law school, Georgia State, and a 2-term city councilwoman. Only a few days ago, Mayor Bottoms became the 60th mayor of our great city. Having had the honor to be her lawyer during the recount, it is a particular pleasure for me to welcome her here today. Thank you for being here. Please also join me in welcoming our other jurisdictional partners. I understand that DeKalb County CEO Michael Thurman and newly elected Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts are here. I also believe Felicia Moore, our council president, is here. Would they and the other county commissioners and city council members please stand so that we may thank you for your commitment? We are also joined today by several of our elected and appointed state and federal partners, including MARTOC Chairman Tom Taylor, Senate Transportation Chairman Brandon Beach, GDOT Commissioner Russell McMurray, who is the Georgian of the Year, you may have heard, members of the Greta Board, who, depending on how the governance conversation goes, I may have to call boss, and then Regent Sachin Shailendra is here as well. Got to be nice to the regents. MARTA's two largest customers are Georgia State and Georgia Tech. So that's an important customer relation perspective for us. If you all are with us, if you're a state or a federal official, would you please stand so that we can welcome you? I also hope you will join me in recognizing my fellow members of the MARTA Board of Directors, who I will ask to stand again at this time. When we talk about our board, I want to say a few words about Miss Juanita Abernethy, who served on the MARTA board for 16 years and whose last board meeting was last December. She is living history. As a leader during the civil rights movement, Juanita Abernethy remained steadfast in the face of threats meant to stop her and her husband's advocacy, including the bombing of her home while she was inside it. In recent years, Ms. A has continued to be a relentless voice for justice and equality. I can promise you, relentless is the right word. As a minor way of honoring her service, not just to MARTA and to Atlanta, but to our entire nation, I am pleased to announce that yesterday our board voted unanimously to rename the West End MARTA station in her and her husband's honor. I also want to recognize our immediate past GM and CEO and my friend Keith Parker, or as we now refer to him, Old News. Beverly Scott is also here, and I guess that makes her even more mature news. Over the last 4.5 years, Keith helped turn MARTA around through his vision, his managerial and fiscal discipline, and a relentless focus on continual improvement. Because of that work today, MARTA is on our best ever financial footing with $250 million in cash reserves. Customer satisfaction is high and rising, and our employees have a renewed sense of purpose. We are profoundly grateful for his stewardship. As we look ahead to 2018, MARTA continues to build a best-in-class regional transit system that connects people and creates community. In 2018, we will continue to provide safe, multimodal transit that advances prosperity, connectivity, and equity for a more livable region. Our duty that lies nearest is to connect Metro Atlantans to their lives and to each other today and tomorrow. Connecting communities with transit has proved attractive to new development and companies like NCR, State Farm, Athena, Pulte, and Mercedes-Benz, who point to MARTA as a key factor in their relocation or expansion. And soon, we hope, so too will Amazon. As cities across the country compete for HQ2, Atlanta stands nearly alone because thanks to MARTA, we can satisfy Amazon's desire for rail transportation with direct access to the world's busiest international airport. Today, we are the 8th largest public transit system in the nation. In our 5th decade of service, we carry around 400,000 passengers each and every day. Our customers are a diverse cross-section of the entire region. Workers and commuters, kids going to school, tourists, and business travelers, the elderly, people with disabilities, as well as sports fans headed to cheer on the Falcons, go Falcons, or Hawks. Students at Georgia State, Georgia Tech, and the AUC depend on MARTA each and every day. As the national football ship comes to Atlanta, y'all may have heard that that's happening, MARTA will carry tens of thousands of fans to the stadium and other attractions. Over the past several years, we have worked hard to get our fiscal and operational houses in order. We are far from perfect, and certainly work remains to be done. But our leadership team and our 5,000 employees are committed to continuing to make MARTA better than ever before. We appreciate the changing sentiment under the Gold Dome. More MARTA isn't just about a new sales tax in a single jurisdiction, but a conversation that is now happening throughout the region. We welcome the opportunity to partner with state and local leaders as together we tailor solutions to create an even stronger economic future. In the coming years, as we retailer the filaments of this tapestry we call Atlanta, we will push to connect Emory University, Children's Health Care, and the Centers for Disease Control to the heart of the city. With Atlanta's new half-penny, we are already delivering more bus routes and more frequent service, particularly to the people who need it most. And in coming years, we will expand our light rail service to neighborhoods across Atlanta and connect Atlantans to opportunity. Elsewhere in the region, I hope that we will soon push rail and other fixed route service across the river, further into North Fulton and into South Fulton, to establish the state's first commuter rail service in Clayton County, and that we will have the opportunity to improve our service, our fixed route service in South DeKalb as well. As our region gains more than 100,000 residents per year, we cannot simply pave our way out of traffic. And while ride-sharing services are certainly an important part of our mobility fabric, an agile, dependable multimodal transit system will help Metro Atlanta win the 21st century. Our challenges are great and our expectations are high. To deliver, we need someone who understands the job, has experience and trust among our stakeholders and employees, and whose performance instills confidence and respect. We found that in Keith Parker. And even as we conduct a nationwide search for a permanent chief executive, we have maintained that high standard with our interim general manager and CEO, Liz O'Neill. It has been an extraordinary year for MARTA, as Liz will tell you. You'll hear more from her about our accomplishments and our 2018 goals. Liz has been a leader at MARTA for more than 22 years, rising through the ranks to become chief of litigation in 1999, and later chief counsel and assistant general manager for legal services since 2006. I have long appreciated her steady style, her grace, and her intimate knowledge of the system's inner workings. And I just believe that lawyers should run the world. I know that our partners appreciate the way she has stepped up to lead. It gives me great pleasure to introduce her today as our interim general manager and CEO of the Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority. But before she comes up, we have a video we want to show you. Thank you all very much. joining us.
Hi,
Welcome.
I'm Liz O'Neill, the Interim General Manager, CEO at MARTA. And as you've just seen, we had a number of great things happen in 2017. But as for 2018,
Well, good morning, everybody. I know that some of you may have been over that piece of footage, but we wanted to use it just one more time. I wanted to point out that although I've been the interim general manager for only 3 months now, during my tenure at that time, while all of our image, MARTA's image, as well as our name have appeared on all 3 morning news shows, nightly networks, and Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, as well as Jimmy Kimmel. And I'm not going to name anybody in particular, but I believe that's an achievement that, say, a general manager who may have served from 2012 to 2017 did not attain. So. But seriously, good morning again, and Robbie, thank you for your kind introduction. I echo Robbie's thanks to all of you for joining us today. In addition to our elected officials, board members, and others that Robbie has acknowledged, I would also like to recognize the leadership of the Amalgamated Transit Union, Local 732, which represents over 3,000 MARTA employees. Thanks to Union President Michael Majette and his officers David Ward and Rufus Silas for being with us this morning. I would also be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to all of MARTA's employees, some of whom are watching this as it is being live streamed. Although we can't see you, please remember that the impact of your work is felt by millions of people throughout the Atlanta region. Everything we're talking about today was made possible. It was your contributions that made this all possible, and we sincerely thank you. I'd also like to thank the Council for Quality Growth in being our partner in this event, and as your staff, as well as Rhonda Allen from MARTA, who really devoted more time and effort to this event than probably all the rest of us combined. And in all seriousness, I do want to thank Keith Parkner for having the confidence in me to serve as the interim general manager and CEO to help keep MARTA on a firm footing until a search for his successor is completed. And as almost every employee knows, there's rarely a dull moment at MARTA. The year 2017 certainly proved that point. Last year served as a reminder to all of us that a transit system is about much more than running buses and trains. When it's done right, it's about building partnerships. It's about creating physical and virtual connections. It's about constantly innovating to find ways to make your system the very best that it can be. Building, connecting, innovating. That's really at the heart of what MARTA is. Looking back over the past year, MARTA has definitely covered a lot of ground in those 3 core areas. I want to share some of the highlights with you, but first, let me give you a brief snapshot of where we stand today as an organization. First and foremost, we are proud to announce that for the 5th year in a row, MARTA's record of financial stability has continued to improve. At the end of fiscal year 2017, MARTA's revenues exceeded its expenses by $34 million. And this ability to keep our financial house in order is even more of an achievement in the face of declining transit ridership caused by lower gas prices, competition from ride-hailing services, and other market forces beyond our control. In addition to our upbeat financial outlook, MARTA's customer service rankings also trended upward. Based on ongoing surveys, our overall customer satisfaction numbers improved for the 5th consecutive year. Of course, one of the most closely watched metrics at MARTA is our crime statistics. On that front, we have even more good news to report. In 2017, we reduced the number of Part 1 crimes by 14%. That's an achievement. And although crime is an unfortunate fact of life, MARTA remains one of the safest large transit systems in the country. MARTA's police department recently unveiled a new state-of-the-art mobile command vehicle equipped with sophisticated satellite communications and cutting-edge technology. Going forward, MARTA will continue to focus on these business fundamentals, our finances, better customer service, and the safety and security of our system. And now that we have established a solid track record, we're using that momentum to make the most of the promising opportunities that are ahead of us. There's really no better example of those opportunities than our Transit-Oriented Development, or TOD, program. When you think about it, MARTA is really a giant construction project that never ends. By leveraging the value of our real estate assets, we're actively working with the private sector to develop vibrant transit centers where people can live, work, and play. Even as we speak, construction on our TODs at Avondale, Edgewood Candler Park, and Trackside at Chamblee Station are well underway. And in September, MARTA and State Farm celebrated the opening of a new entrance at our Dunwoody Station. This provides direct connectivity for State Farm employees and visitors to its new Atlanta headquarters. And just several weeks ago, we celebrated the ribbon cutting for the iVillage, or Innovation Village, at the Hamilton E. Holmes Station. This is a project between MARTA, Invest Atlanta, and the City of Atlanta. It will activate an underutilized parking lot at the Holmes Station to create temporary business spaces in repurposed shipping containers, hopefully to demonstrate the untapped demand for retail and office space in the West Side corridor. And in the meantime, we continue to make significant investment in our existing infrastructure. As you saw in the video, we christened the renovated reduced fare and lost and found office at the 5 Point Station, the bustling hub of our system. MARTA also made substantial infrastructure improvements to our rolling stock. We have expanded and diversified our bus fleet. We now have 10 30-foot buses that we're using as community circulators to streamline service on major arterials, and we call this new service Local Motion. We've also added 18 60-foot articulated buses to our fleet. We've nicknamed them bendy buses. They look really cool, and they can carry more passengers per trip than our standard 40-foot vehicles. MARTA is also in the process of replacing its entire rail car fleet, a nearly $1 billion investment. This is already in the works, and we are scheduled to award a contract in 2018. And as we build for the future, MARTA still is very much in the business of making connections, linking people to the places where they want to or need to go. As a result of Atlanta's successful ballot referendum in 2016, MARTA is significantly expanding transit service within city limits. As part of the More MARTA initiative, we have increased bus service in the city on nights and weekends. Clayton County is also receiving expanded service in 2017, and we continue to work with the Clayton community to explore options for high-capacity transit in Clayton County that may include commuter rail, light rail, or bus rapid transit. MARTA is also helping to connect customers to healthier lifestyles. If you haven't already heard by now, our Fresh MARTA Market is getting a great reception from our customers. We've marked our 3rd year of this program that offers fresh vegetables and baked goods at select rail stations. Last year, we expanded the market from just serving West End to include 3 other stations, 5 Points, H.E. Holmes, and College Park. And recently, we received a grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture for $500,000 to expand the program even further. In partnership with the City of Atlanta, MARTA has made it even easier to get your groceries home from the Fresh MARTA markets using the Relay Bike Share program. MARTA has installed bike share hubs at 8 of our rail stations. This allows you to pick up or drop off a Relay bike as you complete your transit connection. The program has been extremely popular. More than 3,000 bike share rides have been initiated from MARTA rail stations since these hubs were installed. So whether you're walking, riding, or pedaling to a MARTA station, once you arrive, we're working to make the experience more interesting and uplifting. With a reinvigorated push for the arts, MARTA has launched a program called Artbound. The goal is to rehabilitate the artwork that's already in our stations and at the same time incorporate music, dance, and the visual arts throughout the system in ways that make meaningful connections for our customers. We know how invaluable making these connections can be. As if there was any doubt, we all witnessed firsthand the critical importance of connection and collaboration in the spring of last year when the I-85 bridge collapsed. MARTA joined forces with local and regional transit operators, government agencies, ride-hailing services, and private businesses to help the hundreds of thousands of commuters who were affected by this. After the bridge collapsed, MARTA added more than 1,200 new parking spaces at high-traffic stations to accommodate car-bound commuters. We rolled out a web-based tracking tool specifically designed to assist commuters in finding available parking, and also partnered with Uber and Lyft to provide discounts for rides that originated or ended at one of our rail stations. By leveraging and making connections when it mattered most, MARTA helped to keep Metro Atlanta moving during this crisis, and we should all be proud of that. Now let's talk about innovation and what it means for MARTA, and most importantly, what it means for our customers. Without any fanfare, MARTA recently opened its Integrated Operations Center. The first of its kind in the United States, this facility combines operations and security for both MARTA bus and rail to ensure better coordination and response during everyday service as well as emergencies. And as we continue to improve the end-to-end transit experience, we've made some significant advances in our technology services. For instance, everyone who uses a cell phone or a mobile device will love the fact that MARTA now has free Wi-Fi on all buses. In addition, cellular service is available for customers at 5 Points, the Dome, and Peachtree Center stations. We will continue to expand this network of services in 2018 as we work to provide free Wi-Fi on rail cars and expand the availability of the underground cellular network throughout our system. In 2017, we also successfully converted to our new Silver Breeze cards, which are much more secure and will help to prevent fraud and abuse. And not many people realize that MARTA is also encouraging innovation in some pretty unconventional ways. Last year, we teamed up with the City of Atlanta and Georgia Tech and others to host 2 hackathons. The 24-hour hackathons were designed to spur innovative solutions to improve the customer experience. Participants were provided with data on ridership, on-time performance, and parking. They used that information to create their own out-of-the-box solutions for real-world challenges. MARTA showcased several of these solutions during the highly successful American Public Transportation Conference and Expo that the agency hosted in October. And while we look back at 2017 with a sense of accomplishment, the truth is we're really just getting started. So what does 2018 have in store for MARTA? The simple answer is plenty. One of the major developments will be delivering an exciting new mode of service for us, the Atlanta streetcar. While MARTA has long been an operator of bus and heavy rail, we are looking forward to running light rail vehicles for the first time in our history. We are also revolutionizing our fare payment system by introducing mobile ticketing. You'll be able to use your cell phone to purchase and pay for your fare by the end of this year. Your cell phone will be your universal boarding pass to MARTA buses, trains, and yes, the Atlanta streetcar as well. And thanks to the actions of the Georgia General Assembly last year, 2018 will also mark the expansion of our concessions program. We will now be able to solicit proposals to help us attract innovative restaurants, customer amenities. We want to make MARTA have its own versions of Union Station. Now, I know we've got a lot on our plate, but on behalf of our leadership team and hardworking employees, I pledge to you that we will continue to strive for excellence in all that we do. As the rightful owners of this transit system, you should expect to have us keep raising the bar and pushing the agency forward. Thank you, and that's our commitment to you.
Liz, thank you very much for your leadership, your vision, and your long track record of service to MARTA and to this region. Have many of you even had taken the moment to pick up your program? I just want to, most people don't look at programs, and the folks who put this all together took time to put that program together. So, pick it up, take a look at it, and then look at the picture of the MC. If you notice, that doesn't look anything like me, but it is me. And I love that picture because they airbrushed the hell out of it. It doesn't look a thing like me, but I am not mad. It's gorgeous. All right, so there you go. That's the picture from the television station from which I retired last year, as many of you may know. And that's always going to be my picture. Even though I have the unanchor hair right now, that's always going to be my picture. All right, as we move through, known as Metro, The Los Angeles County Metro Transit Authority. It is the nation's third largest transit system. The system was formed in 1993 from a merger of the Southern California Rapid Transit District and the LA County Transportation Commission. Today, the Metro daily serves a 1,455-mile operating area, and at peak hours has 2,000 buses rolling. Metro operates not only buses, but light rail, heavy rail, and bus rapid transit services, as well as providing funding and planning for commuter rail, freeway, expressway projects all across Los Angeles County, and additionally, bikeways, pedestrian trails, and facility stations across the region. With nearly 10,000 employees, making it one of Southern California's largest employers, as with MARTA, public safety is a primary Metro priority, and Part 1 category crimes have seen a decrease on nearly 30% of Metro rails and 10% of the Metro bus network. Today, our keynote speaker, Phillip Washington, was named General Manager and CEO of the Metro system in 2015. Mr. Washington manages an annual operating budget of $1.6 billion and is currently overseeing $15 billion in capital projects under construction right now. Mr. Washington was a leading proponent of the successful effort to pass an additional half-cent sales penny tax across LA County in order to fund system operations and expansion of Metro. That referendum garnered 71% approval at the ballot box. Mr. Washington joined Metro after leading the Transit Authority in Denver in 2009, after serving a decade there as the Assistant General Manager. And while he was in Denver, Mr. Washington spearheaded implementation of the first of its kind $2.2 billion transit public-private partnership. Mr. Washington has had numerous prestigious assignments and numerous honors to go with it. He was appointed by the mayor of Denver in 2007 to head the Host Transportation Committee in preparation for the 2008 Democratic National Convention. In 2009, he was appointed by Governor Bill Ritter to serve on the state of Colorado's Workforce Development Council in order to help the state create a 21st century workforce. Mr. Washington was named 2013-2014 Outstanding Public Transportation CEO of the Year in North America by the American Public Transportation Association, APTA, of which he is also a past chair. In 2014, he was selected by the editors of Engineering News Record for special recognition as one of the top 25 newsmakers of 2013. In 2016, he was chosen by the National Safety Council as one of the CEOs who get it, an honor bestowed on CEOs who demonstrate leadership in safety at the highest levels. He has also testified before U.S. congressional subcommittees on transportation and was awarded a White House Transportation Innovators Champion of Change Award in 2012. He is accomplished. He is well known for his innovative approaches to managing transportation initiatives. Mr. Washington is a friend of many here in the Metro Atlanta region, a friend of many of MARTA's leadership, and we are proud to have him as our keynote speaker today. Will you please join me in welcoming Mr. Phillip Washington. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Brenda. I'm glad you cleared up the picture that was in the program. I didn't know who that was. Let me first acknowledge the MARTA chair, Robert Ashe, and also Interim CEO Liz O'Neill and all the elected officials and dignitaries here. Let me give my greetings from Mayor Eric Garcetti, who's also the chair of my board, who wanted me to make sure that I said hello to Chair Ashe and Mayor Bottoms as well. And so I've done that. He knows I'm here. He told me to come back. But no, it's great to be here. The MARTA board members and all the elected officials here, thank you so much for your leadership. Let me acknowledge my friend and former MARTA CEO, Keith Parker, a true professional, did great things here at MARTA, but also has done great things for the industry overall as well. And Chair Ashe said he was old news. At least you're not fake news. So, yeah. I'm so happy to be here. We hosted a contingent of Atlanta officials probably about a year ago. Was it about a year ago? And we were happy to do that and show that contingent kind of what we're doing in Los Angeles and the infrastructure investments that we are making. Transportation, as we know, impacts people's lives in ways they don't even realize. And whether it's influencing the development of affordable housing, around transit stations, creating good-paying jobs, or making it safer to walk and bike, transportation investment builds benefits across the region. In Los Angeles, we're on a mission to ease congestion, just like here in Atlanta, create jobs, improve life for our residents as we tackle this soul-crushing traffic that is affecting our metropolitan areas around the country. We're on this infrastructure journey, I like to talk about, that will change LA County, the most populous county in America of almost 11 million people, actually, for the next 100 years, and that's just in LA County. We went to the ballot, as Brenda was saying, a little more than a year ago, the same time that MARTA went to the ballot, and our citizens gave us the resounding vote of support, like here in Atlanta, of over 71%. I'm still not sure whether we beat MARTA. No? Okay, 70, okay, all right. 71 point whatever. Both of them were over 71%. But we went to the voters and we said to them that transportation is an ongoing need. Transportation should be looked at just like education. It is an ongoing need, and so we proposed that there be no sunset on that tax. And I don't know what this says about the psychology of people, but as we got closer to Election Day, the polling began to show that there was greater support for a no sunset than 50 years. Because people, I believe, realized that transportation is an ongoing need. When you start talking about operations and maintenance, and you start talking about ongoing things like that in state of good repair, it's an ongoing need. So there is no sunset provision on this sales tax, this half-cent sales tax, and it only ends when the voters decide to end it. This has resulted in 40 major projects in the next 40 years, 18 mega projects in the next 15 years. But it's not just projects. This is a comprehensive plan that looks at operations, looks at state of good repair, keeping fares affordable for seniors, for disabled, for students, bike and pedestrian connections, funds that go back to the 88 cities in LA County for them to do their own smaller transportation projects, sidewalks, streets, potholes, It goes back to them based on the population in each one of those cities. And so we're giving back. It is a plan from the people, for the people. We listened to the residents through polls and focus groups, and we believe that it will change the face of Southern California and help us create what I call this infrastructure inheritance for our children and our grandchildren. And you are doing the same thing here as you went to the ballot and did the things that I talk about here. And it's about time, right? Because we have been on what I call an infrastructure vacation for the last 30 years, the last 3 or 4 decades in this country. And it's about time that we pay attention to the crumbling bridges and the terrible highways in this country. Infrastructure is the new thing. It is the new thing. We are enjoying this great renaissance of people coming back, even from the suburbs and moving back downtown. I was reading something not too long ago that talked about Asia and Africa, for instance, are in the midst of this massive migration to city centers. And by 2025, more than half the world's population will live in Asian cities and cities around the world. Our infrastructure is not ready to accommodate this great influx of people back to the urban cores. And so infrastructure will become the new thing as every year 60 to 70 million more additional people move to various cities. And while this urbanization is occurring, the need for building and rebuilding our infrastructure grows as well. As we know, baby boomers are retiring. 40% of the employees in my organization are eligible for retirement right now. 70% are over the age of 40. One of the things that worries me is that we do not have a trained workforce to build the infrastructure that we will need to accommodate this growth. We need to provide opportunities for at-risk youth. Currently, 45% of foster youths in LA County do not graduate from high school. We need to train them to work in this infrastructure industry. And so we are looking at career pathways, and we've created a career pathway program in the infrastructure industry. We are looking to start a transportation school that focuses on grades 6 to 12 to talk about and teach infrastructure and the skills that we need for infrastructure. We want to be the transportation infrastructure center of excellence for the world in LA County, and we want Atlanta to partner with us on that. These are kids with bright futures, as you know. We need to make sure that they're trained in the infrastructure industry and at the same time be able to create a new middle class for them with great skills. We've got a number of transportation projects well on their way to completion in Los Angeles County. We're proud that we have a local hiring piece, or it's the centerpiece of our program. I talk a lot about how I grew up on the south side of Chicago and housing projects. And I looked around at people building infrastructure in my community, and they did not look like me. And when I walked in and tried to get a job, I was either told I was not trained or I was too late. And so this local hire program is very important for us. Now recently, the U.S. Department of Transportation, with the current administration, withdrew its local hire pilot program for projects that receive federal funding. Now, in the past, when federal partnerships constituted 80% of funding for a project, that might have made sense. But today, with a greater percentage of the funds coming from local sources, like here in Atlanta, that no longer makes sense. And so we have said, even though this administration has terminated, or I like to say suspended, the local hire program, we will continue, and we have continued the local hire program for locally funded projects. That means a young person where infrastructure is being built in their community can walk up and get a job and help build their own community. Because you see, thank you. Because you see, transportation infrastructure investment is really a socioeconomic enabler. A socioeconomic enabler. Transportation determines who has access to education. It determines who gets the best medical care. It determines who has access to a job. Our measure in LA will produce over the next 40 years 778,000 jobs. This is an economic engine that we are talking about. And the same thing applies here in Atlanta as you passed your measure. We are talking about creating a new middle class with skills that we need to build infrastructure. And so these economic drivers are there. We must think differently. Liz was talking about innovation. Cities and transit agencies must be innovative to keep things moving forward. We created what I call an Office of Extraordinary Innovation. Not just thinking outside the box, but there is no box. And when we talk about building new infrastructure in this country, there are very few rules as well. The world of transportation is changing so rapidly that we need to make sure that we don't just think traditionally in our transportation agencies. I don't believe that the ride-hailing companies and the development of self-driving cars spells doom for public transportation. People will always need mobility. There was still 10 billion trips taken on transit in the United States this year. Yes, ridership is declining in some areas, and people point to the ride-hailing companies, but we commissioned a study not long ago with UCLA, and they completed this study, and I'm happy to share it with MARTA, and they talked about actually the increased purchasing of cars that is influencing the decline of ridership on public systems. Since 2009, I was just reading an article in the Wall Street Journal, since 2009, there has been a 4% growth in car purchases, and it has actually outpaced the population growth, which is about 1.4%. So people are, how many folks in here got more than one car? Yeah, there you go. They scared to raise their hand. And so we need to keep up. We've developed at Metro an unsolicited proposal policy so that the private sector can bring us the best ideas for consideration. You see, the private sector is so reactive to the public entity, right? They wait for us to put out an RFP. You know, we respond to the RFP. No, I want unsolicited ideas, and I want to put out a problem or a challenge to the private sector and have them come back to me and tell me how to fix it. I don't want to be overly prescriptive. I want to be performance-based. I don't care how the train gets from here to the airport. I just want it to get from here to the airport in 20 minutes. And so as we look to be innovative, those are the things that we need to be thinking about. P3s were mentioned. Our view is that P3s is just another project delivery tool. It's not for every single project. Every mega project is unique, and it's our absolute obligation to look at every possible tool in the toolbox to include P3s. I think P3s has a place. We should be looking at it to accelerate projects and to also transfer risk. And so as we set up this Office of Extraordinary Innovation, we see this as a bridge to the private sector for a world of ideas as we move forward. Again, we want to concentrate not so much on prescriptive design specifications, but performance-based. This is what we want this system to do versus telling the private sector every little thing and every widget to use and even how much to tighten that widget and all of those things. We want to give some leeway. I'm intrigued by the possibilities that may emerge as a result of the new tax reform legislation. With the corporate tax right now being reduced from 35%, I think, to 21%, there's a possibility, a real possibility, that lots of cash, corporations will have a lot of excess money and also repatriation as well. Right here in Atlanta, there's 1,250 multinational corporations. Of these, 15 to 18 are Fortune 500 companies in Metro Atlanta. 26 are in the Fortune 1,000. This is the 10th largest economy in the U.S. And so, and you're trying to get Amazon over, you're competing with L.A. To try to get Amazon. The point here is, with this new tax reform, shouldn't we be talking to the private sector and encouraging them to invest in infrastructure through public-private partnerships? Shouldn't we be? They are going to have tons and tons of money. Shouldn't we have a roundtable discussion with the CEOs of all of those corporations and be talking about how they can invest in infrastructure and put money up front with a reasonable return on the back end, of course? And so those are the things that we should be thinking about. Let me close with just a couple of other quick points, and those are, I mentioned the workforce piece and P3s. When we talk about P3s, we think about construction and capital projects, but we should also talk and be thinking about state of good repair and how we can bring on the private sector to do even maintenance and long-term operations as well. The workforce piece, this is a national emergency when we talk about the need to build our workforce and train our workforce. And so as we build out the largest public works program in North America, in Los Angeles through our measure, again, we want MARTA as a partner. We keep our eyes focused on the future to prepare for the more than 2 million people who will move into the LA County area over the next 30 years. And as many of you know, we have the Olympics in 2028, and so we are preparing for the Olympics as well. We will be ready. We continue to think differently in terms of innovative solutions to our challenges. It's important for us in the industry to change the way we think. So I would challenge Atlanta to do a few things. Create a program management plan that outlines what resources you need to implement your capital program. And we're happy to share our program management plan with you. Review your procurement procedures to make it easier for the private sector to do business with you. Review your organizational chart to ensure that you are structured as an organization to deliver these new projects and infrastructure. Review your entire bus network. Is your bus network going to the right places? Is there new development and new residential areas that have gone up over the last 5 years? Is your bus service going to the right place? Pursue a state funding initiative for public transportation, and I know you're thinking about that. Pursue it. And go big with it. Go big. Maybe no sunset. Yeah. Pursue transit agency value capture opportunities akin to tax increment finance districts. Transit is bringing the value. The transit agency should share in the rewards. We should share in the rewards, value capture. Concentrate on performance-based criteria. Don't get stuck on overly prescriptive design specifications. Understand that infrastructure is the next big thing. And so let me just end by saying, as we move our cities into the future, we have the power to really impact so many lives. As we enhance our cities, build more mobility options, and better connect our communities, we are giving back and giving ourselves back one of life's most treasured commodities, and that is time. Less time traveling, more time with families. So I challenge all of us, every region of the country, with regard to infrastructure, that we embrace this infrastructure future, that we get our young people ready to help build the infrastructure in this country, that we lead and don't follow, that we hop on board, and understand that the transportation revolution is indeed here. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for the privilege of your time. Thank you.
Phillip Washington, thank you very much, and much continued success to you in Los Angeles. Well, transit has often been a key factor when businesses choose to locate to any region. Atlanta Metro Chamber CEO Hala Malamag, who has been a business and civic leader of more than 20 years in president and CEO roles, can attest to that fact. Hala is the first woman president and CEO in the nearly 160-year history of the Metro Atlanta Chamber. Hala held senior executive roles at the Arby's Restaurant Group, Church's Chicken, and the Susan G. Komen Foundation, where she also served as CEO. Hala has significant experience leading organizations through change and periods of growth. And as this region undergoes significant change and growth, we are counting on leaders such as Hala Malamag. Please help me welcome Hala to the podium.
Well, good morning, everyone. Brenda did mention my red and black, and yes, it is a Go Dogs kind of day, and I've got some more things to say about that, but I first want to make sure that we appropriately thank Phil. We loved your remarks. I do want to make it exceedingly clear, though, that we did beat you in the vote. Our vote was larger. We tend to be a little competitive, and when Keith tells me that our number was higher than yours, I just want to get that in the books. Am I telling the truth? Just making sure. Okay, good. Okay, but seriously, we enjoyed your remarks, and I think a lot of what you said rang true for us. And I also want to compliment you because last week, a lot of people from Georgia went out to LA for the Rose Bowl, and they came back very, very happy. And I think it's two reasons. One, the Georgia Bulldogs won. Number two, they love the LA Metro. Yeah, so I think, and then we've got the Falcons out there on Saturday, tomorrow. So if we can come back with a Falcons win, which we will, and loving the LA Metro, our cities are just going to be completely bonded. So I think this is a good day for us. Okay, so just putting it out there in the ether that Falcons win and Georgia Go Bulldogs win. So, okay, getting down to a little bit more business. I do have the privilege of being the CEO of the Metro Atlanta Chamber, and what a privilege it is. What a fun ride. There are many people in this room who have been extraordinarily helpful to me and our team over the years, but the thing that we have that I think everybody knows and you've worked with very much is a group of expert economic developers and public policy people, and some of them are in the audience. Our mission is to make this a more prosperous and vibrant region, and I can't think of really anything else more than transit, frankly, that can help drive that mission. So I was really thrilled to be asked to be here today. Our vision is to be a top-tier, globally competitive market, and we cannot do that without a world-class transit system. So our goal in this regard is to have generational expansion of transit. And those are going to be my 3 new buzzwords for this year: generational transit expansion. I mean, we don't want to talk just about congestion. We want to talk about access for people. And when you start talking about economic empowerment, and Phil said it, Mayor Bottom said it in her inauguration speech, it's been said many times, people have to have access. They have to have access to the jobs, they have to access to health care, access to education. It will drive so much in this market. So we're going to be talking about transit a lot, and we're going to be talking about it a little bit differently in this coming year, because you must take in, and I'm preaching to the choir here, I know, all the pieces that come together with transit. I want to thank Robbie Ashe and the board. You guys should certainly be congratulated. I'm glad Keith is here to thank him publicly once again. He's a friend, but I think when you look at Robbie and the board and Keith and Liz and everybody who's been involved in MARTA, what a transformation. Everybody knows this, and the brand of MARTA could not be in better shape, and that's just a wonderful legacy for our city, and something that we hope will obviously continue. The other thing that I will mention back on these businesses, and again, it's already been mentioned today about places like GE and Honeywell and NCR and State Farm coming to our market. They came for our talent, they came for our tax structure, they came for some incentives, but make no mistake, they would not have come to this market had we not had MARTA. They just wouldn't be here, because it's impossible for them to make this decision. So on that note, I want to mention a couple of people. Our chairman, Kevin Tanner, because we have going on at the House, it's the House Commission on Transit Governance and Funding. So I know our session gets started next week. We are very excited to hear about the work done there. And I also want to thank the Senate members who have made transit expansion a priority. Senator Beach is here. The very first time I met him was a conversation about transit. So we appreciate what's going on at the state regarding transit and transportation as well. Looking forward to hearing proposals when the session does get started. Thank you all for being here today, and I'm just going to say it one more time: go Dogs, go Falcons.
Thank you so much, Hala, and thanks to all of you for being part of the solution that she's talking about, for helping us build bridges and bring more passionate and dedicated partners into this ongoing conversation and innovation for public transportation. Ours is a shared vision of connectivity, of prosperity and equity. Connecting people means building community, and it means a more livable community, a more livable region, raising the quality of life for all of us now and for generations to come. The future is bright for MARTA. Congratulations to how far you've come. Congratulations on where you're going in 2018 and beyond. MARTA is rising. Godspeed, safe travels to all of you. This concludes our morning session here. Our meeting now stands adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.